Star Wars fans, we've got breaking news. A new report is saying that the Rey movie has been delayed indefinitely. And this basically confirms everyone's suspicions that the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie was fast-tracked because the Rey movie was falling apart. And so in this video, I want to break down this new report, tell you where it's coming from, why I believe this report. But then I also want to discuss why this might actually be a good thing for Lucasfilm. Like, don't get me wrong, they are clearly flailing. They are scrambling, calling audibles at the line, making all sorts of changes. But at the end of the day, that has led to a scenario where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are likely the last hope of this franchise. And that might end up working in Lucasfilm's favor. Okay, so let's get into this. I first saw this pop up on Reddit, and it came from a website that I'm not really familiar with. So at first, I was just going to discount it, put it to the side. I thought it was probably just clickbait, you know, people speculating. But then I noticed that Bespin Bulletin had actually done an article about this and kind of vouched for this site. Bespin says he reads this site like almost every day, and even though this website is not normally known for breaking such news, they are reliable. They do have a good reputation with one of the best scoopers in the Star Wars fandom in Bespin. And so with the nod from Bespin Bulletin and the fact that this rumor kind of lines up with a lot of things we've been hearing recently, I'm gonna go ahead and say I believe this report, but we should say it's a rumor for now. All right, so this report comes from World of Real, and it says here, upcoming Rey Star Wars movie delayed indefinitely. The article reads, Daisy Ridley is set to reprise her role as Rey Skywalker in Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's upcoming Star Wars film. We don't know much about this movie except for the controversial remarks the filmmaker has made, and that it might be titled New Jedi Order. So I'm usually not keen on looking for Star Wars intel, but a well-informed source gave me additional details on the current situation of this film, and it's not good news. I've been told that Disney has delayed the film indefinitely, which is why they surprised everyone last week and decided to announce The Mandalorian and Grogu as the next Star Wars movie. They just don't have confidence that New Jedi Order will be happening in the near future. The problem seems to reside in creative differences between screenwriter Steve Knight and Lucasfilm. Shocker there. The article goes on to say, I'm told that a draft had originally been written for the film, but Lucasfilm gave him so many notes that he had to start from scratch. To make matters worse, there is the possibility that Knight might not be staying on board the project. His frustrations have grown, and he's put Star Wars on the back burner and is now focused on the screenplay for his Peaky Blinders movie, which is supposed to go into production this fall. Okay, so that's the gist of the article and the report. And it's shocking, but it's really not that shocking. I mean, Lucasfilm has had so many movies fall apart over the past couple of years. It's to the point of comedy. It's like, yeah, of course they're gonna have these movies fall apart. And we also know from some great reporting over the past couple of years that the production on the Rey movie has been a mess from like almost the beginning. They originally hired Damon Lindelof and his partner to write the movie. That version of the movie wasn't going to have Daisy Ridley in it. It was about a much older version of Rey. Then Kathy fires Lindelof, changes the movie entirely because she convinced Daisy Ridley to come back to the role of Rey. And then she hires Steve Knight to start working on the drafts for this new movie and announced the Rey movie at Star Wars Celebration before anybody knew what this movie actually was. And then you get the strikes, which took most of last year, so Steve Knight wasn't able to do drafts on that movie all of last year. And according to this report, he turns in a draft after a long time, and then Lucasfilm looked at it and gave him so many notes that he would have to start from scratch. Can you imagine that? I mean, think about what is going on in that scenario. How crazy is that? And I can't really blame him for wanting to go away from Star Wars, go away from this disastrous production and focus on the Peaky Blinders movie. I mean, that's his baby, is Peaky Blinders. So I also believe the report that Steve Knight is going to part ways with Lucasfilm. So they're probably going to have to go find another writer and start from complete scratch on the Rey movie script. And so it also makes sense that Lucasfilm is not confident that they'll be able to roll cameras for the Rey movie anytime soon. And of course, this confirms all the suspicions, all of the speculation that was out there about the fact that the Grogu and Mandalorian movie was essentially a Hail Mary by Lucasfilm because the Rey movie was falling apart behind the scenes. So in a lot of ways, this is just Lucasfilm doing what Lucasfilm does. However, there is a major silver lining here. The fact of the matter is that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is a controversial pick for the director of the next Star Wars movie, and the Rey character brings a ton of baggage with her. There are a lot of people that think she's a terrible character, completely underdeveloped, and the sequel trilogy is a very divisive trilogy of movies. And so frankly, it's kind of feeling like Kathleen Kennedy was hell-bent on delivering this Rey movie with an activist director, and yet the cosmic force, the universe itself, essentially delayed that and has stopped that from being the next Star Wars movie that's going to come out in theaters. And now, in desperation, Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm have to turn to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and what those guys might be able to do here could be incredible. I've been saying this a lot on Twitter, in streams, on videos, but I'm frankly way more excited to see a Mandalorian and Grogu movie in the theaters written by Favrue and Filoni and directed by Jon Favreau. Like, that just has me way more hyped than seeing the Rey movie done by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. I mean, it's often the case that organizations like Lucasfilm do not make significant changes until the sky is falling and they are truly desperate. So for me personally, I'm kind of sitting back and I'm like, yes, this is really desperate. This is really crazy. And yet we're now facing a scenario which to me is so much better than the scenario we were going to face before. John and Dave are putting out the best work that Star Wars is doing right now, and I think fans are super engaged with Mandalorian, with Grogu, and with that whole Mandoverse stuff. And I personally kind of feel like legacy is on the line here. The entire franchise is dependent on what John and Dave will do with these movies. Like, it's a huge freaking deal. And if this stuff just comes out and it's not that great and people are like, wow, all that, and we get lackluster Star Wars slash show movie thing in the theaters, that's going to be a disaster for the brand. Like, this might be the franchise's last chance to actually get back on track and to have people really engage with the movies and the shows, and to have the Star Wars brand doing what it was supposed to be doing for Disney, right? Getting people engaged, making people want to go to the parks, buy merchandise, all of that. That's why Disney paid $4 billion for Star Wars. And it's weird because this does feel like maybe their last chance here. But if I had this scenario, if I had the last chance and I had to make a bet on some creative people, I would bet on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And I think they might even understand how desperate the situation is. And they have this kind of focus and energy. And who knows, man, sometimes when you get in the pressure cooker, you make diamonds. So maybe under this amazing amount of pressure, despite all of the chaos that's happening at Lucasfilm, two great, incredible people in John and Dave will be able to give fans what they want with some awesome Star Wars movies, some awesome Star Wars shows, and make us just enjoy being a Star Wars fan. Of course, it's just a rumor for now. I think we'll probably get updates on this story very soon, and I'd love to know what you think about this. So let me know in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.